So let's talk about discussion three. So obviously the topic is up there, but what I wanted to talk about was just the larger context of these discussions. Now Perkins constitutes maybe three-quarters of the discussions in the class, well maybe half or so, and one essay. So the class isn't really all about Perkins. In fact, it's there only one out of three essays are about Perkins. But Perkins provides, he's a good writer, and he provides us material to write about. Now, does that mean that I believe everything Perkins says? No, certainly not. He says at the beginning of his book, once an economic hitman, always an economic hitman. And then he goes on to say that he retired. Well, he didn't retire. He's just working for uh, people higher up the totem pole, right? The IMF, the World Bank, the people that run those organizations, right? In my opinion, they kind of want to undermine America and people's pride in America. So I'm not trying to undermine anything to do with your feelings about the country in which you live or anything like that. But a lot of the information in Perkins, even if you don't trust him, which I don't, I actually met Perkins. And boy, I'll tell you, he's a very, very sharp cookie, but I would not trust my back to that guy. You know, the role that he had being a sneaky economic hitman, it really suits his personality, but that doesn't mean he's trustworthy. But he is giving us some interesting views into the inner workings of a system that is private and separate from what most people understand, right? And so that's useful in the class because it gives us kind of an interesting twist on a topic. You know, some teachers, they might have you write about Beloved by Toni Morrison. You have to read a whole novel, right? Even to write one essay, you have to read the entire novel. I don't do that in here. We don't have to read all of Perkins, right? Well, another teacher, they might just go off on gay and lesbian studies for the whole term, you know? So count your blessings. Not, I don't have anything against gay and lesbian studies. I'm just saying that, you know, I don't absorb the whole class in one topic for the whole term. This is just something to, as a kind of a kingpin in the middle. Essay two, half the discussions, to keep you writing about something that has kind of a broad base of appeal. I mean, we all pay taxes, right? Maybe some people don't even want to think about paying taxes, but that's not very mature. If you have to pay taxes, that's a big chunk of your income, folks. That's 33% of your income. Don't you want to know where that's going? It's not going to you. So if you consider that idea political, I'd venture to say you're kind of brainwashed to say I don't care about 33% of all the money that's taken from me. I mean, you really should. It's not a political issue. It's just a common sense issue, right? And you know, if we want to talk about politics, this class isn't about politics. I'm not a political guy. I don't find politics particularly interesting. I don't consider Perkins political in nature. I didn't vote in the last national election. I didn't think there was a real choice. I thought it was rigged. Didn't interest me, right? And what's more, I don't want to support something that I feel is basically giving the sense that we really do have a choice, that we really do live in a democracy, because in my view, we don't. We don't live in democracy. It's kind of deceptive. But we're not going there in this class. We're focusing on Perkins, what he did in Economic Hitman. His book was a #1 New York Times bestseller. That's what we're focusing on in here, right? And for good reason. He's a very good writer. I'm exposing you to good writing. Uh, you know, getting those wheels rolling. And Perkins happens to be, you know, good for essay one too. You're writing in the first person. He's writing in the first person. Good for essay one. But then also, he also is very good. It's good exposure for essays 2 and 3 too, because it's just good to be exposed to someone who writes good sentence variety, who has a command on that, other kinds of things. You're going to be reading my lectures in here, and you know I've written a lot, and so you're being exposed. I went to extra pains to proof my work, and so we've got that in here too. You're being exposed to a couple of different writers, myself, Perkins, and then if you do the extra credit assignment on the Willows, you'll be exposed to the writing of Algernon Blackwood. He's a master writer, happens to be in the field of psychological atmospheric horror. It's not gory horror. It's just more atmospheric, right? And you'll have an experience with evoking atmosphere in SA1, so that really helps you. So you've got that experience in SA1, writing about something that happened to you. Well, hey, here's the extra credit assignment. It's also about something that happened. So just a little bit, I wanted to just fill in a little bit of background on uh, you know the discussions and how to approach those. Don't forget to respond to 2 other discussions or you won't get the full points. That's the most common way people don't get the full points. Later on in the term, the discussions are going to be worth more. They're going to be worth double points when we don't have quizzes that week, right? So if you don't respond to 2 other discussions, that's an automatic 4 points off. You can't get above 16 points if you don't respond. So it's always worth responding. But anyway, thanks so much for watching this video. And if you have any questions, please, please, please feel free to drop me a line with an email and we'll chat about it. I want you to be totally comfortable in here. Um, and the class, just in closing, this class isn't about conspiracy theories, right? Here's an insider, John Perkins, who worked in the system. He's writing about it. He's writing about, the banking system that basically draws upon the resources of all the people and the planet, the raw resources of the planet, and then it looks on humans as natural resources. So that's worth thinking about, I think, and it's worth thinking about where a lot of your taxes are going to. I really do think that's not a political issue, not a conspiracy theory issue. It's just 33% of all the blood, sweat, and tears you put into your job. And so a lot of that money is going to black budget stuff that, these days that you really don't know about. So Perkins is kind of pulling back the black curtain on a lot of this black budget stuff so that you can kind of see what's really going on. And I think that's valuable, even for people that don't like finance, even for people that don't like to know what's happening with all the money that they make, right? I still think it's worth it to think about it a little bit. So anyway, looking forward to seeing those discussion 3s. Take care.